that's the end of that story. Hope you're no more afraid than when you click the clicky thing. Now I got to go to the story. Why I sat down to begin with is to tell this story. When I posted the story yesterday about the gun, going hunting for the frankly, the first and only time in my life, and what the deal was there, it got me thinking about a few other childhood memories that I just thought would be interesting to share. And it's like those moments growing up that you were let down. It's like, should you or should you not tell a child that there is or isn't a Santa Claus, and when should you do it, and what's the benefit of allowing children to be children and having fantasies, and kind of protecting them, allowing them to live in a world that you would hope everybody would live in, of happiness, security, and peace and joy. A total sham. But at certain points, as a kid, you're going to be like, oh, and then you become, it's like these stages where you grow to be cynical, confused, at least, right? Cynical, and then frustrated and angry. So I'm not a psychologist, I don't know anything about that. But all I can tell you is there was we're all familiar with Captain Kangaroo, right? He was like a national cartoon, or had the live show, Green Jeans, and I guess most of the people my age anyway remember him. A national children's show, okay? But our local station, before the show, was before or after, had their own local TV stations years ago. I gotta probably explain this. It was no cable TV, It wasn't, coast to coast, around the globe, access to media. This big conglomerate Walmart type media. No, you had your local TV and radio stations. They could. It was in the 70s that they started buying packages of movies and stuff like that. I mean, it was all just a local creative deal. Okay, so our local station had this show called Lucy's Toy Shop, right? And Lucy would come on, black and white, of course, and she would come on and do this shtick with her puppets. She had puppets and. Wake up, Mr. Tree. We're very glad to see you. Wake up, Mr. Tree. It's daytime, can't you see? What day is it, Mr. Tree? He's not Mr. Tree. I should have drew a tree instead. There was a variety of things that she would do every day for the kids, okay? Lucy's Toy Shop. So, Lucy decided to go on the world tour, which meant from Columbus, Ohio to my little town, an hour north of there, and do her thing at the middle school in the auditorium. And small town, you find out about this as a kid. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. Mom, take me. So she, takes me down there, and we watch the show, and I can remember being pretty thrilled with it. And so at the end of it, I said, Mom, I want to go meet Lucy, okay? And she goes, well, just go down to aisle and go up the steps and just go, behind the curtain and see if she's there. She didn't even, she didn't go up the stairs with me. I don't know if she walked me down to where stairs were and all, but she let me alone go up. And there were no other kids, not like today where kids are, got the cell phone stuck in somebody's face and they're, setting their pants on fire trying to get a reaction out of them, so they could sell the cell phone video to Entertainment Tonight. We weren't as sophisticated as children back then. All I wanted to do is meet the woman that I watched on television and the puppets. And there she was. She was sitting at the makeup table, one of those portable tables with a mirror and lights, and she was in her red and white pinstripe little dress with ruffles, but she looked like she was a million years old. She was all wrinkly and had... she looked like she was 60 years old, and not at all like when you see her on TV, in black and white with all that pancake makeup. She looked pretty young, and I was just shocked. I didn't know what to say. I just stood there and looked at her, and she was smoking a cigarette on top of it all, just sitting there smoking a cigarette, all alone, in front of this makeup table, smoking a cigarette. And she kind of caught me out of the corner of her eye and turned and looked at me and just stared, and I stared at her. And then she said, in a completely different voice than you would hear on the TV show. "What do you want, kid?" It was the classic. It was the classic children's, moment. Where you have the drunk host, and frankly, she probably hated what she did. It's like most of us. You get trapped into something. She'd been doing it for years. I'm sure it was like a way to make a living, right? But for me as a kid, it was just the end of it, And I just stood and stared at her. I didn't have anything to say at that moment. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, I turned around and just walked away. And as I was going down the stairs, that was it. I just turned off. I said, "That's the end of our relationship, Lucy. I'm done." So she lost a viewer, and there was just another moment in my childhood where I lost a bit of it and became more cynical and frustrated and angry. It happened right there. Lucy's Toy Shop's responsible for who I am today. Now the other thing, which is a lesser experience, but it's the Captain Kangaroo thing to kind of wind up the story, is Captain Kangaroo did this thing. It was called the lollipop tree, right? And there was, I think it was a song, don't remember. Anyway, the idea was you eat your lollipop and you have the stick and you want more lollipops. Well, what do? You take the stick and you put it in a pot, with earth, and the stick turns into this tree with lollipops. And so he did it, and there was the tree with lollipops, right? I'm like, hey, I want more lollipops. I got a lollipop stick. I want a lollipop tree, right? So I put the stick in the dirt in a pot and put it outside the front porch, watered it for about 2 weeks, nothing. I stopped watching Captain Kangaroo. That was the end of it. I don't know what that says about me, that I was, I can remember this stuff, these points, in my timeline. Or as a kid, why suddenly I just said, hey, fool me once, fool me twice. Now, usually, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 300 or 400 times. That was, all getting drunk. Please, God, please. Please, God, I'll never drink again if you just let me survive this night. Please, God. I'll never do that again. Okay. Well, maybe you will. There you go. That's it. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you're no more afraid now than when you click the thing. And I hope you're no more afraid now than when you click the clicking.